Hello and welcome to Andy's attic. Although today I'm obviously not in the attic, I'm in the kitchen where I've got much better lighting. I've ordered from an internet auction site. I've ordered a number of items which have come together and I thought I'd unpack them and have a good look at them. So the first item is this particular carriage here, T3569, which I think is supposed to be a freight wagon, although a bit unusual, a freight wagon with windows in the sides. This was from a set that was produced in 1999, so it would have been one of the very last 9-volt sets that was introduced by Lego. Very, very strange set really, because it was powered by a tiny looking triangular looking wedge shape of an engine. And I did actually buy a couple of those engines perhaps 6 months ago for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to use the motors. 9-volt motors for the metal tracks are increasingly hard to find, and I also wanted to use the blue wedges in them for making a blue version of the Horizon Express, which maybe will feature in another video. Anyway, for now, let's have a look at this particular freight carriage. So this is T3569 apparently. So I bought a whole lot from this internet auction site for £80. Then once you add that's 80 British pounds of course. Once you then add the VAT and the shipping on, I think I got six coaches in all for probably about £20 each, which is probably a fair price. The other thing is, because this set dates from 1999, it's now quite hard to find. So I looked on the internet, I looked on Bricklink, and there's the whole set is just not being sold anywhere in Britain at the moment. And if you go on eBay, you can get hold of a couple of coaches, but they are very, very hard to find. Perhaps one reason they're hard to find is they probably weren't huge sellers in the first place, because with the puny little wedge-shaped engine, which doesn't really look like a train at all, and with the very strange freight carriages with blue glass sides, very strange for a freight set. But let's see what else we've got. So that's the first item, T3569, the small freight vehicle. Looks like it's got some cars inside, but I'll now open the second item I've got. T3254, so that is supposed to be the dining car that goes with the freight car. I don't know whether you run them together or whether you just have two freight cars. I imagine in each of the sets that you bought, you got enough to do 2 coaches, and then it was up to you whether you had them as freight or whether you had them as dining cars. One rather nice feature of this that I can still make out is in the left hand side it's got what looks like a red brick with menu on burgers, pizzas and fries. Healthy eating, not. So that's got some people inside as well, which I hadn't realised. That's good. Then the next one I've got in this set of 6 that I bought from this internet auction site is another, well, it's broken. They're all very dirty as well, so perhaps they've been out in a loft a bit like my loft. That looks a little bit like a dining car on the grounds that it's got some seats with what looks like a giant grapefruit wedge inside. Not sure it's got much protection at the ends, so any of the passengers would get a bit blown around. In fact, I'm not really sure that's supposed to be a dining car at all. This is clearly loose and comes completely off. Don't know whether that was to help you get the people inside, but maybe there's supposed to be some hinges there. I haven't got the instructions and I've never had this set, so I'm not totally sure. But yeah, if you look at these bricks on the side here, they've got holes in, and that's supposed to be the hinge. So this is supposed to open up. In fact, I don't think this is supposed to be a dining car at all. I don't think it's supposed to have the seats inside. I think this is supposed to be a freight car, and you get the cars, i.e. motor cars, in and out of it by opening up the side door, which has currently fallen off. So someone's been a bit creative and yeah, turned it into something that it wasn't supposed to be. But I don't know, is that going to be a nice thing to run on the layout? It actually makes a bit more sense as an open car, because otherwise the passengers are going to get blown around with the don't know whether you can see, but as well as having the front that's fallen off, if you look at the ends there, very, very open indeed, and that's why I think this is supposed to be a passenger car. The next car as well, the dining car, that's also open at the ends, and ironically the third vehicle here, the one that's actually got the cars inside, is sealed at the ends, although there's still some windows there, so still some fresh air could get in for the passengers. Obviously not a British train if it's going to be fresh air. Anyway, let's look at the next item. I got us this job lot, around about £20 each for each of these, so I'm reasonably happy with that. Some interesting parts, if nothing else. Next item, it's more of the same, isn't it? It's sealed at the ends. It looks like it's got some ramps inside, again perhaps for cars, but with no... Oh, it does open up. It does open up. So you can see the ramps there for the cars. Load the cars in and then drive them up onto the ends, I think. I imagine you can get two cars in there, but we'll find out in a bit. So there's 4 freight vehicles or passenger vehicles, depending on how we build them, from the 4, 5, 6, 1 set. I think you got 2 of those in each set. Never had this set before. I haven't got the engine anymore, because when I did get the engine, I split it for more useful parts. So I'm not sure which of my trains is going to haul these, but perhaps I need to wash them and perhaps rebuild them first. Well, I've now played around a little more and realised that all of the cars open at the side. By cars I mean the passenger and freight cars, and you can see there this one's open and it's got a menu. It's got a menu, so it's been used as a dining car. I don't think I can focus in much on the menu, but there's a sticker there with a menu, and someone's got a huge, perhaps it's a pizza, I thought it was a piece of grapefruit to start with, on a table. So that's a dining car, although it is open at the end, so I think they haven't quite built that right. Also in the set came these 2 delightful little, they look a little bit like mini mokes, don't they? Convertible cars, one of which has got a female driver in already. They look absolutely wonderful. Very simple and easy to build, but I think they fit in these coaches very, very nicely. Let's see. Well, you can probably get 2 of these little cars in one of these freight wagons very comfortably. There's only 2 cars that came with the items that I purchased from the internet auction, so I might make some more because they're very, very cute, very dinky, and they fit in there very, very nicely. Still not sure about the closed ends of the particular freight wagon. I think it would be easier to get the cars in and out if you could poke your finger in at the end, so maybe I'll swap the wagons around a little bit after giving them a good clean. The other thing that is noticeably different about these train items to some of the more modern ones is the magnets, and I don't know whether you can see the magnet at the end there, but it's a detachable one, it's not a sealed one, and I think eventually Lego got a bit worried that these magnets were simply too small and could be swallowed by little hands if little hands got on them. So the more modern Lego train sets have got an all-in-one sealed buffer and magnet, which is probably much safer for little children, but you don't see those very often anymore. And my last 2 purchases in this bulk lot of 6 were 2 cars, end cars actually, from the 6051 train set, which I think was a white ice train. I've put them this way around to show the buffers. These buffers and the magnets are sealed, so they're very different to the ones that were perhaps released 20 years earlier that we saw in the previous train. The front of these, turn them round, you can see there they've got these long noses. These parts were all in one, the noses, which on one hand is very interesting, easy to put on, but if you want to reuse the part for something else, I imagine there's very few things that long white nose can be used for. Luckily for me, this particular set of end cars, one of them actually has a motor in as well, and I bought a couple of these sets in the past, and I've always tended to use them and use the motors in some trains that I've scratch built, but it does have a motor. I'm assuming it's got a battery box in there, and it's also got a remote control or remote receiver, power functions receiver. I can just about see the curve of the top pointing out there. No middle car with these. When it was, obviously when the set was released, it did have a middle car, but this particular lot in the auction just had the end cars. So that's what I've got. I think I've got a couple of middle cars anyway, but I'm not a huge fan of the ice set. There's no opening doors in the way in which the whole side of that previous train we looked at, the whole side came off, so you could get inside to get your passengers in or get your vehicles, freight vehicles in. But these, there's no doors whatsoever. I wonder if the front tips up. No. I did wonder if the front was hinged, but no, there's not even a hinge on the front, so you can't even open up the front and put the driver in very easily either. So not a big fan of this set, but I'm quite pleased because I've got another battery box, another motor, and another infrared receiver, which I'll need to test. So I hope you've enjoyed having a look at my new purchases. I've quite enjoyed them. I'm quite excited about getting them on the railway. And again, if there's any of the combinations of the vehicles, the freight vehicles or the passenger vehicles that you'd like me to see, you'd like me to put running on the network, on the layout, in the cold, gloomy loft, let me know. Bye for now.